Okay, welcome back to the third part of this review series. I am getting really excited because that's going to be the first time I try out like international brands or Japanese brands. So I'm going to start with the Daiso paper clay here, and again it's just white. And this block is as large as the ones that I reviewed before, so it's about the size of my hand. But it is a lot lighter. Let me see if I can find how much this weighs. It only says here that it's like this, so it is a lot lighter, the package is. So let me get out some pieces to work with and then I will start reviewing. Okay, so really nice. There are instructions as to how to use this clay in Japanese, of course, which I'm not going to read to you, but also in English, and if you want to read them you can pause the video now. So it says here that you have to condition this clay also, and if you want to roll out thin sheets you can cut them with scissors then. This last section here suggests that the clay does dry and it takes several days, but if exposed to water it sounds like the clay will like become soft again and workable again, so you have to use varnish to protect it against water. And colors will fade if finished work is immersed in water, which is like really weird, but we'll have to see. I'm not gonna try that out, so I'm just gonna like make my thin sheets and the snake and also the donut using this clay. Oh, in case you were wondering, I keep all the clays in their original packaging, but I use these clips that I got at IKEA to seal the bags off, and I hope that this will suffice to keep them soft and workable. Okay, so here is the pieces that I got, and they are so lightweight. It's like styrofoam or whatever it's called. It's really cool. So I'm really excited to use this. So I can already see a little bit of fibers coming off, but let's see what the clay looks like after I kneaded it. So it's not moist like the other clays, so it feels like there's no water in it. And it's really soft, as the name suggests, and really easy to work with. So let's try to flatten out a piece. So you can see here there is teeny tiny hairs sticking out, but they are not as visible as with the do and dry that I showed you earlier. So there are some fibers showing. So keep that in mind if you want to work with this paper clay. So let's try to make a smooth ball. Okay, so this is not smooth at all. Let's try to smooth it out with my fingers. That does not work. Let's try to use some water. Oh yeah, look at that. So this is really awesome. I mean, you have to keep moistening your fingers, but it's really easy. I mean, I only have to go over it once kinda, and then the spaces where there was a crack is already smooth. So this is really awesome, and it's so lightweight. There is an acidy smell to this though, so I mean, you're not gonna smell your fingers all the time while working with this clay, obviously, but just like keep that in mind when you work with this clay. So I already mentioned it is very soft. It is not as moist. Let's compare the white. So it looks like this white clay is even whiter than my sheet of paper. So it is really white, really awesome. So let's turn to making the little sheets of clay. Let me clean my work surface for that. And I always wait for it to dry, because when you use water to smooth out your pieces, it will stick to the work surface, obviously. So I'm pre-flattening this a little bit with my fingers, and you can see it cracks a little bit, but that's normal. It happens with polymer clay too. Okay, so I only push down, and you can see there are some fibers. So let's try rolling out a thinner sheet. For that I've prepared my little pieces of paper again. And the work surface does feel a little dusty after taking the clay off it, but that is fine. So I'm gonna have some problems rolling this out because it's gonna stick to the rolling pin all the time, just because it doesn't stick to the work surface at all, which is nice, but it's gonna be a pain rolling it out. Whoops, there it ripped. Not nice. So let's see if cleaning the rolling pin again helps. So again, even this very thin sheet of clay, I mean, it's not as thin as I want it to be yet, but even this doesn't stick to the work surface at all. But I can't seem to get it any thinner. I'm going to try my best, guys, but I'm going to speed up the video for that because you don't have to watch me fail at making a thin sheet of clay with this kind of paper clay. Okay, so this stuff rips really easily. I'm going to get out my scissors and then cut a little strip from this. So that works well. You will have some like clay residue on the scissors, so clean those up before using them for something else again. But it works fine. You can see the little fibers are sticking out here. But whatever. I mean, they're really thin, really fine. You can't really tell that they are there, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna have to keep it a little bit shorter than the pieces usually are. So it's like a centimeter shorter, just because it's so thin I can't. I mean, you saw me fail at it. So yeah, so I'm gonna make another pair of these so I can compare the 12 and 24-hour dry, or to say the least, to let it dry for several days. I'm gonna try to go with a 12-hour drying period and then a like 48 hours or even 72-hour dry period, and then I'm gonna try to squish them or bend them or whatever. So yeah, let's turn to making the snakes. Okay, I started out with a little ball, and then I'm gonna try to, whoops, excuse me. I'm gonna try to roll this into a snake. You can see I am failing at it again. So I'm very sorry, but I can't make a snake with this polymer clay, or not polymer clay, sorry, with this air dry clay. So just refrain from doing that. Okay, so let's turn to making the donut. Hopefully this will turn out good. So I've already taken out a larger ball of the clay, so I'm trying to get this smooth after I mixed in the colors. Okay, trying to make the donut is a pain in the ass because it is, I don't know if it's too dry or something. I mean, it smooths out really easily, but only at the surface. So I'm going to try to make a donut, but I don't know if I can succeed. I mean, it's falling apart here. Look at this. So, ganbatte! Okay, I've let this dry for a couple of minutes. I'm going to try to cut out to the center. But you can see it's already cracking again. This is going to be a watch me fail video. Oh my god, I didn't know it was this hard working with air dry clay of that brand. Jesus Christ. Look what I found, some thread in the clay. It's not mine. Really weird. Okay, so here is the finished donut, and when I found a crack, I took some more of the clay color that I mixed and smoothed it over using some water, and I already went ahead and inserted a head pin, sorry. I'm not like happy with how much time it took me to make this, but whatever. So I'm gonna use my crappy brush again and some chalk pastels, and I'm gonna try to color this. Dust on some chalk pastels. And I already let this dry for a couple of minutes. But I can already see there are some clay pieces coming off, so I might have to leave it for some time again. So I'm actually surprised at how well the clay picks up the color. So it doesn't look as painted. I mean, it does look painted on camera kind of, but it looks realistic, I think. So I am quite happy with that. So I'm going to put this aside and let this dry. Okay, so a quick conclusion in between. So this clay is very soft and very easy to work with. It is not moist at all, and it doesn't like stick to your fingers at all. And even if it does, like after you try to smooth out some spaces using some water, you can just like let it dry on your fingers and then like dust it off, which is really cool. It doesn't stick to glass whatsoever, so it was really easy for me to get it off my work surface again. It's really hard to roll out thin sheets of clay. I did manage, but I failed at it several times, so you might have to practice that. It is not it does not work to roll out snakes of this clay, so I do not know how they made this little like chibi bunny here, but apparently it does work, so I'm just a failure. So I did find a little thread, which I threw out already in the clay, which I thought was really weird. But other than that, the fibers that were visible were so tiny that I barely noticed them. So with the Dew and Dry, the fibers were a lot more visible, a lot larger, I would say. So this would definitely work for whipped cream, and I have seen people on YouTube make Whipple with this air dry clay brand, so it does work. I'm not going to show you this because you can just like Google it and watch videos made by other people. Okay, so what else? The clay does like it is brittle kind of if you want to make donuts or something like that, so you cannot like roll it into a ball and then flatten it out or anything. It doesn't really work that well. I do not know if you like make a huge ball and cut out a donut shape, if that's going to work. My pieces like came apart and it took me forever to smooth it out. Other than that, it picks up acrylic paints really well. I did make a little like muffin shape or whatever, and I already colored this. It's not dry yet. So I'm gonna try to like wash out the paint as they said in the package before, and show you if that worked or if the clay holds the color. So look forward to that. And yeah, let's just wait for the clay to dry. I've prepared a 12-hour piece and a 24-hour piece, just because the strips of clay are so thin that I think that it won't take many days for them to dry. It might take several days for the donut to dry. Okay, so see you in a few days. So the whitest one is probably this one, which is Daiso. Whoops, sorry, you can't see. So Daiso is like the brightest white that I have. So that's the thicker piece of the Daiso brand. And this like feels dry and it breaks. Sorry. But it feels good actually, so this one holds pretty well, but it is already breaking. I can feel it. But it is a lot more durable. Wow, okay, so I'm not gonna bother bending this any further. So there is a fold right here, but it doesn't come apart, so very good. So let's have a look at the Daiso brand. It said specifically on the packaging that colors will bleed out if they come in contact with water again, so I'm going to try that on this little muffin that I made. I already have a little bit of water prepared, but let's look into the strips of clay again. Oh, but the head pin, when I pull on it like this, does not come out, so that's a plus. I'm hoping that the others will stay in because I was planning on using the donuts that I made. Okay, so let's try decoloring this little muffin here. So I'm gonna just put this in the water, and it's becoming sticky again a little bit. And the paint does come off, but that's just the chalk pastels mixed with water. And what is really a no-go, no-go, this is becoming all like, I mean, you can see it. My hands are all dirty. It's like you can reuse this clay if you soak it up in water, and that's just, I don't know. I mean, even if you mix it, I don't know if you ever tried making Whipple with this stuff, but I mean, that's a huge minus, right? If you use this for Whipple and then it just melts away when it's raining outside, or you accidentally like spill your drink or something, so that's a huge no-go. So I don't know, so I don't think I would ever use this, probably just because I would be afraid that if one of my customers wore a bracelet, like, or a donut necklace with this piece, and then started raining or something, it would just like melt away on her body, and that's just, I don't know, it's not supposed to do that, right? So that's a huge minus. Although it does say on the packaging that they do recommend that you glaze the pieces. I do only have shiny glaze, so I'm not glazing my pieces. So yeah, this would not be an option for me, unfortunately, because Daiso is a more inexpensive brand. So I was actually looking forward to using it, but I probably won't. Okay, so gather up the facts and decide for yourself. Next one.